Conor McGregor didn't go to a training camp, he didn't go on holiday, he crossed into Tijuana, Mexico to take a psychedelic that he says showed him his own death and healed him. Today we're breaking down the trip, the chaos that led up to it, the visions, the risk, the hidden motive, and why this might be the biggest turning point in his career. Let's get into it. McGregor revealed he travelled to Tijuana and checked into Ambayo, a clinic known for ibogaine therapy. His session lasted nearly 36 hours. He described violent visions, emotional collapse, and a moment where he saw a version of himself dying early and leaving his children behind. He said it felt like a reset. His brain, his heart, and his soul all healed. This wasn't a fighter experimenting. This was a man trying to interrupt a spiral. And that spiral didn't come out of nowhere. Before Mexico, McGregor's life was becoming unrecognisable. Over the past few years, McGregor's behaviour became increasingly erratic, especially when drinking or partying. There was a viral pub incident, late night confrontations, legal dust-ups, and reports of explosive mood swings, and footage of McGregor intoxicated and out of control. There were nights where he looked more like a rock star, spiralling, than a global athlete. The fame, the money, and the pressure, combined with the alcohol, turned him into a headline machine. The Mexico trip suddenly makes more sense. This wasn't just trauma healing, it was damage control. And once you add the timeline, it gets even clearer. The timing of the trip lines up with McGregor's lowest stretch. McGregor had been out of action for more than a year. His comeback fights kept getting delayed, and he was coming off an 18-month period tied to a drugs-related athletic ban. Sponsors grew quieter, the training footage has disappeared, and the public appearances were erratic, sometimes inspirational and sometimes chaotic. This wasn't a vacation window, this was the point where something had to change. But the emotional angle reveals even more. In Mexico, McGregor confronted the part of himself he couldn't control. McGregor said ibogaine forced him to face the consequences of his own behaviour. He saw the version of himself destroyed by excess and ego. He saw the impact on his kids. He spoke about trauma, fear, and feeling spiritually reborn. For someone who built his career on being untouchable, this was the first time McGregor publicly admitted he was vulnerable. This has humanised him and exposed just how close he felt to losing everything. But the therapy itself is controversial. The treatment he took is powerful but risky. Ibogaine is known for helping people break addiction patterns. But this is banned in the US. It triggers extreme psychological introspection. It can cause cardiac issues sometimes. And clinics in Mexico operate in the grey zone, which is part medical, part spiritual, part experimental. McGregor choosing this shows how desperate he was. You don't gamble with this unless you're running out of options. This wasn't a safe, polished wellness retreat. It was a last-ditch, high-stakes intervention. And there's one angle most people are missing entirely. The therapy may have been about more than healing. Around the time of the trip, McGregor was preparing for major public moves. A comeback fight, his business expansions, and a PR rebuilding phase. Ibogaine isn't just for trauma, it's often used to break destructive habits. McGregor has never confirmed that this is substance related, but given the drinking incidents, the public outbursts, and the decline in discipline, the clues are subtle. This trip looks less like a spiritual adventure and more like McGregor trying to regain control before stepping back into the spotlight, which leads to the question that decides everything. McGregor's trip to Mexico wasn't just a headline, it was a correction, maybe even an intervention, after years of excess catching up on him. But now the real question, did ibogaine truly fix the habits behind the chaos, or did it just pause them for a while? As he's been scheduled to fight on a UFC White House event next year, because whichever version of McGregor walks back into the world next, that's the one that will define the rest of his career.